Great, thank you. So let's get started. My name is Adria Estribou. I'm a conscious channel, and today we'll be asking the angels what's up for humankind. I know there's a lot of questions and anxiety around, so see what the angelic perspective is on the energetic landscape for humankind right now on Earth. This is Angel Raphael. Things are not as they seem is a message we could almost always give you. If things seem to be in a time of flux and change, that is correct. That's also a message we could almost always give you, even when things feel stuck. We would suggest you use this impetus of what feels like for just a minute maybe too much change or wrong change, or anyway great velocity of uncertainty and change, to focus that energy of intent of change on your own life. Now, your own life may be focused globally. We're not saying it has to stay within the confines of your house or household, but focus on what's important to you, whether it's art, light, music, politics, reading, writing, arithmetic, spiritual advancement, love of humankind, environment, whatever it might be. Focus that intense focus on change, on what you would like to see right now in your own life, because the current is so strong right now, waterfall strong, that whatever you put your mind and intent to with very few resources right now, it happens. So it can always happen even in the harder times, swimming upstream, but you might as well take advantage of the fact that there is powerful, powerful movement of change right now, particularly upheaval change. So if you look at your own life and the government, so to speak, of your own life, what have been the things that you have lived with because it has always been that way, but you don't necessarily like, but you feel a limitation has been there so long you've stopped questioning it, or some things that have felt just beyond reach. Now is time to focus on those again as well. So whatever it is in your domestic life, international life, again, global leanings towards humankind, or more close in towards my own heart, my own ascension, my family, whatever it is for you, focus that energy of intense upheaval change. What would you like to shift the most? It doesn't matter if it's reasonable. In fact, this is a time to make unreasonable requests of yourself. Not in terms of asking yourself to stay awake for 20 hours, but in terms of asking your life to shift to be what you want it to be at long last. So make some lists of unreasonable demands of your own quote-unquote government. And things are palpably in a moment of movement and change. So you come into this posture of helplessness if there is change externally and it's not a change that you sought out, or maybe someone in politics you don't like is running things for a while, then you feel there's nothing I can do. But from angelic perspective, you are sovereign in your own right, in your own life, and that does include the world. So we're not limiting to just a few feet from your body self or just the circumstances of your own life story. It depends on what's important to you. If what's important to you is 3 to 7 people who have always been important to you, keep your focus there when you want to add the intense change, the forceful energy of movement with very little resource needed to support it or to push it, because the movement is a push in and of itself. Or if your focus has always been on every human in the world, then keep it there, please, and still use your focus there for change. but then think wider, think bigger perhaps than you have allowed yourself to before. Again, as we have said, the technologies that are coming in to assist the planet, the cooperative nature of humankind in the very, very near future, the telepathic nature of humankind, that phases in more gradually, and the ascension are off the charts here in terms of the potential and the reasonable probability that these things will occur. Mass awakenings, mass cleanup of the environment, and so on. So from our perspective, the velocity of change can be harnessed for anything you like. And overall, when we look at humankind, what we see is humanity is blossoming into something new. And there is some growing pains here and there with that, absolutely, obviously. And that both will arise, change and growing pains. But please don't put yourself in the position of feeling you are way, way up in the bleacher seats watching someone else's life happen. Put yourself right in the center of the stage or the arena. You are the one who has that moment of change. You. So what do you want to do with this moment of change? That is our most important message for this hour, but we will take some questions and perhaps comment more. This is Adria. Feel free to type questions if you have any in the chat. And someone had emailed me before this started. And I'll just read the question. I heard from several people that we jumped into a new timeline last week, and I remember the angels' viewpoint on timelines. So do they see it in the same way? And if yes, what is the change? This is Angel Raphael. Timelines for the angelic are not pipelines like enclosed things that never change and you're either in one or the other. However, a certain set of influences and actions can shift your life 1 degree, 2 degrees, 90 degrees, and things change quite a lot. And then you might call that a new timeline because so much has changed that the probabilities that were true a month ago are no longer exist. That would be our view on timelines. It is not the only one. So we would say that from the angelic perspective, and we have been saying through this channel since 2019, things have irrevocably shifted towards new earth energy, towards the ascension of humankind. And there was no maybe or maybe not that would happen. So from our perspective, you're on the same track. However, the same track is rapid enlightenment and rapid change. So each of those changes, some of them more momentous than others, may look like they shift the probable moments for many people's lifetimes. That has to do with the individual choice and will and how you interact with different moments of family members, moments of politics or war. So you see in the ongoing conflicts on the planet, for example, to some people they're quite irrelevant, and to some people they're very focal, and not just those who are there on the ground with the bombings. But so how you interact with what's going on locally and globally is very, very much your choice, your focus. So yes, things have shifted magnanimously, but the bigger picture to us is the wide spectrum of change that is crested the top, let's say, the push where things were in question, maybe 20 years ago, 10 years back. Would humanity make it to this moment? And if so, when? We would say humanity is a bit ahead of the game. And ascension change, species change is happening. And with any evolution, within that are so many changes. And then you individually, many people's individual timelines are shifting quite a lot. In other words, what are the probabilities now, what's going to happen in your life, depending on what anchor points, other people's changes, global changes, personal changes, you buckle in, strap on to for a little while. Like a roller coaster ride, and you didn't like that once, you got off and went to another ride, or off the ride entirely. Some of you are choosing that to have a more substantially even plane of view instead of riding the up down of others. So many choices here. So from our vantage point, it's not that until yesterday or last month you were on one trajectory where certain timestamps were going to happen and now you're on a different one. It has been oscillating and changing your whole life. But the frequency of change, in other words, how often things change and by how much, is much more fluid now. So yes, we don't disagree with the statement, and yes, we have a slightly different view on that. Thank you for the question. Oh, sweet. From Tanuja, is it possible to wish for wheat to return to its original state and not be a poison anymore so gluten allergies can disappear? What about oats? Is that too big? This is Angel Raphael. In fact, the solution was built into the poison in that case. So many of those grains that are unfriendly to the human digestive system, in other words, they create skin reactions, gut reactions, poor health rather than good nourishing health. The greed of those same actors who wanted those to be poisonous to humankind also made them non-pollinating in order to have farmers required to buy the seeds each year. So as quickly as people opt out of growing those poisonous grains, the solution is there. In other words, those grains are not like weeds spread out all over and then now the DNA has to be changed again. They're self-contained for the most part, so that if you don't plant new seeds with those poison crops, then they don't exist. So that change happens rapidly as your community demands. We don't want that anymore. The easiest way, although not perhaps within reach financially for some of you, is to stop purchasing those things that have the poisoned grains in them. And if there's no market, then farmers don't grow that thing. This is Angel Raphael. Yes, so your empowerment here is very, very real and palpable. So please seize this moment. Like seasons, there are moments for reflection and there are moments for action. And this is a moment for action in your personal life story. So what do you want to see changed? What are you hanging on to that you could simply let go of? Literally give away those objects or clothing in the house that always remind you of an old way of being you're not longer choosing. Or to, if you've always meant to, go volunteer or take an art class or be involved in politics or stop being involved in politics or exercise more or eat less or change the environment, whatever it is. This is the time for action. Doesn't mean you have to see the results yet, but if you took that one exercise class today, if you gave away those 3 things in your closet that always make you feel regret about the weight you've gained, you could do that today. If you chose to do something about the politics that are worrying you, sign up or reach out to someone today. You will see the momentum in the course of this year will be much more healthy for you in this life, your life, because you've chosen to be an active participant in your story instead of a recipient of your story. This is very important. As you can tell from our examples, Angelic is not very concerned what it is you choose to focus on in your life, because that's your precious choice and you can keep changing your mind. But if you let others choose for you, or you feel disempowered to make that choice, that is when angels feel what you might call sad for you. In other words, when you choose what you want and act upon it, you are empowered, you are in grace, and the angels feel a sigh of relief that you are using your own skill for your own life story. When you receive what others have scripted without comment and bite down regret and shed tears in your closet and paste on a smile, angels feel a pinch of your heart space as you have contracted into something that is much less powerful than you were meant to be. So make that choice in any area of your life. It doesn't have to be the area that most disturbs you right now. That might feel too far of a reach, and it doesn't have to be the area that most excites you right now. That also might not be the right season, or the right co-creator might not be there for some reason. But choose some moment of action you can take today, please, to shift things in your personal story in some way, whether it's your home space, your living story. You could finally write that letter to a family member, for example, or starting something new, changing something in your life in a very palpable way. It doesn't have to cost money, it doesn't have to cost time. It's up to you. But when you can be empowered in your story, everything changes. You start to see how powerful you are. And that does reflect in the world around you. So you start with your personal story, and you see it like a ripple in water, expand and move and touch others in ways you might not have anticipated in the family and in the world. If there are other questions, feel free to type those in. And one more piece of advice, sought or unsought, from the angelic here. This is Angel Raphael. Forward, not back, please. So when you're trying to move back to the body shape I once had, or the way society used to be, or anything like that, you have trouble. And you want to move forward. This is the body shape I want to be now. This is the health I want to be now. This is the kind of society I want to have now. It has energy and it has life. When you're trying to move back to something out of your own time, in other words, in what you call the past, it's not connected with your direct energy source right here in the now. And so you have disempowered yourself from the get-go, trying to go back. So move forward and take action, some small action now. Beautiful. Okay, this is Adria. The angels are saying to end, so thank you for tuning in, and so much love to each of you. If you're interested in diving into some of these topics and how they might apply to your life and meditation exercises, the angels are teaching through me about once a week, so I'll put my website in the comments here. I'm a little old school that way. I do most things through my website or my email list. Sorry, folks, I'm not old. And I'd love to have you join. And there's a lot of recordings too. So there's a particular topic you're interested in, you can just let me know, because I know the titles sometimes don't necessarily let you know what the content of the workshop is so clearly, because the angels are kind of poetic in the way they talk. So thank you all so much. And there's one more question, so let me look. Great, so ask both of these. Yeah, so for Tanuja's asking, do the seeds still exist? I'm not sure about in other countries. In the United States, we have things called seed banks. I've just joined one locally here, which is wonderful. They're often free, and when you grow things from your garden, they're non-GMO or organic. You can put some seeds in the seed bank so someone else can grow them, and vice versa. So yes, I think there still are available seeds for many of the unmodified crops. So, two questions. First, there's been a recent tragic situation in my family, specifically with my parents, and a financial situation. Do the angels have a message for me? And the second question, in this time of action, is it still helpful on large-scale projects to maintain the wishes, for example, greater environmental health? This is Raphael. Yeah, so if you've had an intention for a while towards something like greater environmental health, just again today, what is some action you can take towards that to change things up a bit? Perhaps something you've been holding off on. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something new you've never thought of before, but you just want to put yourself in the driver's seat. Again, it can be something small, like donating clothing that reminds you of your old self. So whatever scale feels comfortable to you, you can certainly keep resonating back with, does this overall wish still feel like today what I want to be a part of? And maybe there's something else tugging you for a minute. Yes, I love environmental health, but today could we also focus on this other thing? Because you have many branches to you as well. So it's not necessary to restate the wishes, but you can always check in with yourself time and again, because you are evolving rapidly, each of you. So those things might evolve that you're interested in. In terms of a family situation here, it will resolve. It seems finite and final right now, but this will resolve. So ask your parents to seek justice and not give up. And this might be their moment or your moment to come into action, instead of just taking it as if this is one and done and nothing can be resolved about it. We would say ask your parents to seek justice on this. Okay. Now they're saying I can end. Thank you so much, all of you, for your questions, and love being here with you. See you next month.